Hello friends, welcome to State Engineering Service Examination and SSCJ section of Winds of Change. In this video, we will cover so many questions that have a lot of probability to be asked in any of this examination. For any problem, you can mail us at windsofchange2020@gmail.com. You may like this video, comment on this video for any feedback and share this video to your friends if you find it useful. And to download the study material, you can go to the app of Winds of Change that can be available from the Google Play Store, the link of which is also being given in the description box. So let's begin. Welcome to the second video of top 80 questions of railway engineering. In this video we will cover question number 31 to 60. So let's begin. Question number 31. The standard length of rail for broad gauge and meter gauge track are respectively 12 meter and 12 meter, 12 meter and 13 meter, 13 meter and 12 meter, or 13 meter and 13 meter. Just think about it. We have discussed about it in the revision video of railway engineering. The standard length of rail for broad gauge and meter gauge track are option C, that is 13 meter and 12 meter respectively. 13 meter for broad gauge and 12 meter for meter gauge track. Okay, memorize it. It is important. Next question. Number of keys used in CST9 sleepers is 2, 3, 4 or none of the above. In case of the CST9 sleepers, the keys, that number of keys that must be used is, the keys are the one which are used to connect the sleeper and the rail section. So it is option A, that is 2 numbers of keys are being used, one on either side. Okay, these are the keys which are used in CST9 sleeper. This is the rail which is moving. You can see the elevation section of it. One key is provided here, another key is provided here. Okay. Next question. Gauge is the distance between center to center of rail, running faces of rail, outer faces of rail, or none of the above. This is very easy question. Gauge length is the distance between running faces of the rail. Okay, the inside running face between these two, this is the running face, this is called the gauge distance between running faces. So option B is correct. The definition can also be given by the maximum distance between the running faces of the two rails of a permanent way is called gauge. Next question. Tensile strength of the steel used in rail should not be less than 450 MPa, 500 MPa, 700 MPa or 850 megapascal. We are talking about the tensile strength of steel that must be used in rail. So what will be the correct answer? It will be option C, that is 700 MPa. This is the minimum value of the tensile strength that has to be there if we are using the steel section as a rail. Okay. Next question. Largest dimension of the rail is its height, foot width, head width or any of the above. This is an easy question. If you have seen the cross section of a rail, then you can easily determine it. The largest dimension of the rail is its height. That is option A will be the correct answer. Okay. This is the standard rail dimension for broad gauge track. Height is 172 mm. Top width is 72 mm. Width of web section is 15 mm. And width of the bottom section is 150 mm. Okay. Next question. Due to battering action of the wheels over the end of the rails get bent down and are deflected at ends. These rails are called roaring rails, hogged rails, corrugated rail or buckled rail. Here we are talking about the battering action of the wheel. Due to battering action of the wheel over the end of the rail end that get bent down and deflected. So what is that called? That is called as hogged rail. That is option B is correct. Okay, we have explained about all these type of defects in rail in the revision video of railway engineering. You can watch it from the link given in the description box, or you may download the app of Winds of Change where you can find it out. So hogged rail are the one which occur due to battering or impact action of the wheel on the end of the rail, which looks like this. Okay, there are some other defects like kink in the rail which looks like this, and buckling of the rail or so on. Next question. Yellow light hand signal indicates stop, proceed cautiously or none of the above. Think about it. We are talking about the yellow light hand signal. Very easy to guess. Similar is the case of the highway also. Here, yellow light means that proceed cautiously. Okay, so option C is correct. In this one, the driver is indicated to slow down the speed and then move on the track, because there can be some case of the work may be going on or because of some other reason. Next question. Consider the following statement about concrete sleepers. They improve the track modulus, which is a correct statement. They have a good scrap value, which is incorrect statement. We know that concrete doesn't have any scrap value. It is a waste after if it is broken. They render transportation easy. The weight of the sleepers, that is concrete sleeper, is very high. So their transportation is not easy. So this is also incorrect statement. They maintain the gauge quite satisfactorily. This is absolutely a correct statement. Okay, so which one will be the correct statement? 1 and 2 are correct, 2 and 3, or 3 and 4, or 1 and 4. So we can see here that 1 and 4 are the correct answer. So option D will be correct. Okay, option D is the correct answer. We have explained about concrete sleepers in the revision video of railway engineering. You can watch there. All the points are being discussed in this video. Next question. Consider the following statement. Automatic signaling system results in greater risk, high efficiency, avoidance of block instruments, or high operating cost. Of these statements, which are correct? 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 4, or 2 and 3. First of all, automatic signaling system is a best way. It reduces the risk because it reduces the human error that can occur. Okay, and high efficiency will be there. This is correct statement. This is incorrect statement. This is second one is the correct. Now avoidance of block instrument. Okay, which is also correct statement. High operating cost, which is also incorrect because operating cost will be lesser. Less manpower will be required. So option 2 and 3 will be the correct statement. So option D will be correct. Okay, memorize it. Next question. Minimum composite sleeper index prescribed in Indian Railway for a track sleeper is 552, 783, 1352, or 1455. We are talking about the composite sleeper index. The value of composite sleeper index should be memorized here. The answer will be option B, that is 783. Okay, composite sleeper index, this determines the strength as well as hardness in case of the wooden sleeper. Okay, and this value, CSI value, this can be calculated from the formula S plus 10H upon 20. Okay, and value of composite sleeper index for different sleepers are being given here. For bridge sleepers it is 1455, for crossing sleepers it is 1352, and for track sleepers, which was asked in the question, track sleepers, it is 783. So memorize it, it is also important, it may be asked sometime. Next question. The distance through which the tongue rail moves laterally at the toe of the switch for movement of the train is called flangeway clearance, heel divergence, throw of the switch, or none of the above. Can you recall it from the points and crossing? Very easy question. The tongue rail, the movement of tongue rail between the tongue rail and stock rail, that distance through which the tongue rail moves, that is called as throw of the switch. That is option C will be correct. Okay. This much is the distance. This is the distance by which it moves. This gap. Okay. Next question. Standard size of the wooden sleeper for broad gauge track is 275 by 25 by 13 cm, 180 by 20 by 11.5 cm, or 225 by 23 by 13 cm, or 225 into 26 by 12 cm. Which one will be the correct one? Think about it. Option A will be the correct answer, that is 275 by 25 by 13 cm, where 275 will be the length, 25 cm will be the width, and 13 cm will be the thickness or depth. Okay, memorize it. Next question. Maximum value of the throw of the switch for broad gauge track is 89 mm, 95 mm, 100 mm, or 115 mm. We have already discussed in a question what was throw of the switch and what will be the maximum value of throw of switch for broad gauge track. It will be option D, that is 115 mm. 115 mm is the maximum value of the throw of the switch. Next question. The sleeper resting directly on the girder are fastened to the top flange of the girder by hook bolt, dog spikes, fang bolts or rail screws. Think about it. Here we are talking about the case of the girder. Okay. In case of girder, the sleeper resting directly on the girder are fastened to the top flange of the girder. How it is fastened? The answer will be option A, that is through hook bolts. Okay, hook bolts are being provided. These are being used to fasten the sleeper with the top flange of the girder. Okay, you can see here this is the top flange of the girder and it is being fastened here using hook bolt. This is the sleeper. Okay. Next question. A triangle is used for changing the direction of the engine, transferring the wagons to and from parallel tracks without shunting, separating all the sidings and shunting lines from main lines, or preventing the vehicles from running off the track. Think about it. This is easy question. If you know about the triangle, you can easily answer this question. The answer will be option A, that is changing the direction of the engine. Okay, let's say this is an engine running like this. If it is going in the straightforward direction and we have to change the direction of it, so we must be taking it to the another track at right angle to it, and then we will take it back again to the same path. Okay, so here you can say that the first of all its direction, its end was like this, now its end is like this. Okay, it will be in the forward direction. So through this we change the direction of the engine. You can easily understand it. Next question. Cant deficiency occurs when a vehicle travels around a curve at equilibrium speed, speed higher than equilibrium speed, speed lower than equilibrium speed, or booked speed. We are talking about the Cant deficiency. When the Cant deficiency occurs, think about it. Cant deficiency occurs when the speed of the train is higher than the equilibrium speed. Okay, then only the Cant deficiency occurs. This is being explained in the Cant deficiency section. You can easily watch it from the revision video of railway engineering. Next question. Switch angle depends upon heel divergence, length of the tongue rail, flangeway clearance, or throw of the switch. What will be the correct answer? First and second, second and third, third and fourth, or first and fourth? Just think about it. Can you recall the image of switch in your mind? The switch angle will depend upon option A, that is first and second, because switch angle, that is the tan theta, that will be given by heel divergence divided by length of tongue rail. Okay, through that we can determine the value of switch angle. Okay, so first and second, these two will be the correct answer, that is option A. You can watch this picture, it is clearly showing the switch angle. This is tongue rail and this one is the heel divergence. Next question. The reception signal is outer signal, home signal, starter, or advanced starter. Correct answer is first and second, second and third, third and fourth, or first and fourth. We are talking about the reception signal. So answer will be option A, that is first and second. These two are the reception signal. It is being explained in that video of railway engineering. Reception signals are outer signal, that is at 540 to 400 meter away from the station, and home signal is at the door of the station. So these two are the reception signal. Next two which are being mentioned here, starter and advanced starter, these two are the departure signal. Okay, so memorize it, it is important. Usually this question is asked in various examination. Next question. In a seizure crossover, the crossing provided are 2 obtuse angle crossing, 4 obtuse angle crossing, 4 acute angle crossing, or 6 acute angle crossing. The correct answer will be first and third, first and fourth, second and third, or second and fourth. Just think about it. How many obtuse angle crossing are there? How many acute angle crossing are there in case of the seizure crossover? The answer will be option B, that is first and fourth, 2 obtuse angle crossing and 6 acute angle crossing. You can watch the case of seizure crossing here. These two, this one and this second, these two are the obtuse angle crossing. Okay, and what are the acute angle crossing? There are so many, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Okay, so these are the 6 acute angle crossings. Next question. Which of the following factors govern the choice of the gauge? Volume and nature of the traffic, speed of the train, physical features of the country. What will be the correct answer? Only first, both first and second, both second and third, or for all of these, first, second and third? What will be the correct answer? The choice of the gauge that will be determined by all of these, that is, first of all, volume of the nature of the traffic, speed of the train, as well as the physical feature of the country also. Okay. Next question. The formation width of a railway track depends upon the type of gauge, number of tracks to be laid side by side, or slope of the side of the embankment or cutting. In these, the correct answer will be only first, first and second, or first and third, or all of these. So formation width, that will be depend on the answer will be first and second only, that is option B. Okay, this is the formation width, you can watch here, this is the width of formation from this point to this point. Okay, this much will be the formation width. Now it will depend upon first of all type of gauge. If it is meter gauge, it will be lesser. If it is broad gauge, it will be higher. Number of tracks to be laid side by side, obviously. If there are 2 tracks, then this length will be increased. Slope of side of embankment or cutting. This slope, it does not depend upon this slope, because if this length is being taken from these 2 points, then it could have been the possibility that slope of sides of embankment or cutting has been taken. But here, since formation width does not include these, so it will not depend upon the slope of sides of embankment or cutting. Okay, so option B is the correct answer. Next question. Creep is the longitudinal moment of rail, lateral moment of rail, vertical moment of rail, or difference in the level of 2 rails. Think about it. We have already discussed about the theories of creep in the revision video of railway engineering. The creep is the longitudinal moment of the rail, that is option A will be correct. Okay, memorize it. Creep of the rail is being discussed in that video. It is the longitudinal moment of rail with respect to the sleepers in a track. Okay, and there are so many theories, wave action theory, percussion theory, or some other theory, drag theory. So these are being discussed in the video of revision of railway engineering. You can watch it from the link in the description box. Next question. 1 degree of curve is equivalent to, where r is the radius of curve in meter, 1600 by r, 1700 by r, 1720 by r, or 1850 by r. What will be the correct answer? It is an easy question from the geometric design of the railways. The answer will be option C, that is 1720 by r. Okay, for 30-meter chain, if we are using 30-meter chain, this degree of curve can be denoted by 1720 by r. Okay, if we are using 20-meter chain, then it will be 1150 by r. So memorize it, it is very important. Next question. The rail is designated by its length, weight, cross section, or weight per unit length. Can you recall it? The answer will be option D, that is weight per unit length. Very easy question. Next question. Lead of crossing is the distance from the heel of switch to the toe of the switch, heel of switch to the theoretical nose of crossing, toe of switch to the theoretical nose of crossing, or toe of switch to the actual nose of crossing. We are talking about the lead of crossing. It is the distance between heel of switch to the theoretical nose of crossing. This is the lead, curve lead. Okay. This is the distance between this is the heel of the switch. Okay. And this is theoretical nose of crossing. So distance between these two is called lead. Okay. If we are talking about the curve lead, then this distance will be along this curve. Next question. The treadle bar is provided in the middle of the track, a little in front of the toes of the tongue rail, near and parallel to the inner side of one of the rails, at right angle to the rail, or near and parallel to the inner side of both of the rails. Where we provide the treadle bar. Think about it. Treadle bars are being provided near and parallel to the inner side of the one of the rail. Okay. In case of the point and crossing, these treadle bars are provided for the movement of the rail in the transfer direction. So these are being provided at near or parallel to the inner side of the rails. Next question. A treadle bar is used for, okay, I have already discussed it. interlocking points and signals, setting points and crossing, setting marshalling yard signals, or track maintenance? Think about it. The answer will be option A, that is interlocking points and signal. In case of points and signals, these are being used. These are the treadle bars which are being used. Okay, these are used for interlocking points and signals. Next question. Flangeway clearance is the distance between the adjoining faces of the running rail and the check rail near the crossing, between the gauge faces of the stock rail and the tongue rail, through which the tongue rail moves laterally at the toe of the switch, or none of the above. What is the flangeway clearance? Think about it. It is the distance between the adjoining faces of the running rail and the check rail near the crossing. Okay, let's say this is the running rail and this one is the check rail. Okay, so this distance is called the flangeway clearance between these two. Okay, it is being given here, flangeway clearance. Next question. The total gap on both sides between the inside edges of the wheel flangage and gauge face of the rail is kept as 10 mm, 13 mm, 16 mm, or 19 mm. Between the inside edges of wheel flangage and gauge faces of the rail, there is a small distance between these two. How much it is? It is 19 mm. That is option D will be correct. Okay, the distance between the inside edges of the wheel flange is generally kept less than the gauge of the track. So there is a gap between the wheel flanges and the running edges of the rails nearly equal to 1 centimeter on either side. Okay, and if we include both the sided, then it will be around 2 centimeter, that is around 20 mm. Next question and the last question of this video. Heel divergence is always less than flangeway clearance, equal to flangeway clearance, always greater than flangeway clearance, or sometimes greater than flangeway clearance. Think about it. What is heel divergence? Heel divergence is always greater than flangeway clearance. Okay, memorize it. It is important. So here we will finish this video, and in the next video we will come up with question number 61 to 80. Till that, subscribe to this channel to stay updated and download the app of Winds of Change.